Let me share a personal story today. I should dread the "so what do you know about the business?" question on discovery calls. Half the time I barely had the basics, but researching each lead individually was killing my schedule. That's where our pre-sales research agent comes in. We built a workflow that automatically fetches key details like job title or maybe more relevant details like in industry or employee strength or revenue of that company right when a new lead arrives in our CRM. By the time I schedule a call, I already know enough to have a meaningful conversation without flipping through notes for half the call. Think about how much that changes our pitch. Instead of fumbling with, "so what do you guys do?" You can jump straight into the relevant pain points. It's one of those small shifts that lead to major results. If you're tired of blind calls and wasted intros, keep watching. We'll show you how to set it all up in Anytime so you never into a call unprepared again. To build company enrichment workflow, first thing we'll do is come to this website, Company Enrichment, and it is a very simple to use service. It's a very useful website. I have used it for many years now, and what it does is it will accept just the domain name of companies and it will give us all the information. So for IKEA.agency, we have address which is Mumbai, country which is India, and state Maharashtra. For industry, it says business services, which is somewhat accurate. And if you go to industries, it says in details custom software and IT solutions, so consulting and research and development, right? So we have employees from 1 to between 1 and 10, which is again correct, founded in 2024. So this provides a lot of information for our company, and it also has the logo. So let's check this API call, which is fairly simple. We need to send a GET request with authorization, and it provides the token. You do not need to copy it from here. Once you create your own account, which will just be to connect with your Google account, or maybe create a new account with just email and password, you'll be given an API key to use, which is just very straightforward. And with the headers provided, we will be able to fetch information like this, which is a single JSON object, right? And the most important information here is which we will need is employee and revenue. You can choose to also add more information from a lot provided here, but mainly we will focus on this on adding this in our 20 CRM, right? So this will really help us decide if the company is worth calling and will they be able to serve us properly or if we will be able to sell them our products properly. So let's jump back to N10 and see how the workflow runs. Now if you have followed us in your our last video when we were making employee enrichment workflow, we were following the same route as we will be doing now, because in the previous workflow what we were doing was we were fetching employee or company's URL or LinkedIn URL of companies and giving it to API, and for every single URL which we were providing one at a time, we were getting an object of employee information or the company information as a whole, right? So the flow is pretty much same here. We will be providing a URL of company or the domain name of the company, and what we will get in return is the information of that company, right? So let us copy this workflow, and we will be just making a few little minor modifications in the current workflow and we will be ready to work with it, right? So I'll just copy this much till, let's say, here, right? Because in this is the node which triggers the workflow, right? Which we will need. The second thing is fetching CRM data. We will be fetching all the company information for using 20 API call, and in the current workflow as well we will need this. The code modifies the object or the data which we are passing along in the workflow. The only modification we'll need here is in the previous workflow we added URL and we were providing LinkedIn links, right? So in the current workflow we will be providing domain name instead, not the LinkedIn leads. which I just did here, or which is you can see here, right? Now name is not very important. You can choose to keep pass it along the workflow or not. Company ID is fairly important, and location we can totally get rid of, right? So this we will forward into the loop, and the next thing we'll add is or use is edit fields, which is again important because we are passing in the URL which is of company, which we will surely need. We are passing the name, and this should be name or title, I think it is, as it is said in the CRM. And the next is company ID, right? And location if we can get rid of, and also name if you don't want to pass it along, you can choose to skip those. Now we cannot copy this because here we are calling AP5, and instead we need to copy companyenrichment.com, right? So let's just copy this part into a new workflow and then for carry forward we go. And the next step would be to call company enrichment, which will ask us for the URL, which is the basic URL, and we will pass in the URL which we have taken from earlier nodes, or basically the domain name, right? So that we will append here in the URL, and this will be a get method. And make sure you also add the token. I have not hidden this token or encrypted it, or maybe passed saved it in the credentials page, and I because it is not much of a secret. You can readily get it from your account on company enrichment. It's totally free. You do not need to subscribe to anything, no need to provide credit card information or anything, right? And make sure you also add content type application JSON as header. Now what we will do is we have received company information in the JSON object format. We will be saving this in our 20 CRM. So before we do that, let's make sure if the information is available. So we'll just write JSON here. Make sure you click on expression, and it has to be an object and a non-empty object. If it is empty, we will circle back to the start of the loop. If it is not, we will add HTTP request. Now, before we move forward, we can just copy this from the previous workflow, which is here, right? So this is the work node which we will be using to update the information. Yeah, so we have, so in this actually we used people, we will be using companies now, and instead of post we will be using patch method, right? Because for post, if we use post method, 20 API or 20 CRM will add a new record, and if you want to update existing record we should be using patch. So let's just copy this there and update it, and there we are. So we have attached company ID here. In the URL we have used patch method and also attached the headers, and there it is. So this is the body, which is really important. I'll explain you why there is so much code or so much JavaScript here. Let me open up the notepad. So this is how the body looks. Now we need to enrich employees information or employees count and annual recurring revenue, which is just the revenue we find in company enrichment, right? So the issue is 20 CRM only accepts numbers, it does not accept string, and company enrichment provides information of employees. For example, like 15 employees, it will just return as the 15 number, or sometimes it might return as 20 to 30 employees. It will give us a range basically, or sometimes it might also give us over 1K, right? Or it could be in uppercase. So this is how we might get the information. So what I did here is I checked if the company employees or the employee information is available, and I try to only select the letter part of hyphen if the hyphen is there. If it isn't, it will just accept the same number as us. We replace k with 000, 3 digit 0 3 0 digits, and even if it is in lowercase, we will do the same thing. Otherwise, just paste the employees, and if it is null, just use 0, right? Because we do not want to use null or blank string or anything. For annual recurring revenue, we are facing the same thing. We have b, small b, which will be a billion if we add 1 to the left of it. And I've added all the trailing zeros or following zeros. Same with m, which will be a million. Now, this is how the body is, which will be providing to 20 CRM. And let's see how this one works. So let's test the workflow, save it. And okay, before we move ahead, let's just circle back and close the loop. So what we did here was we were processing one company. Now, as soon as one company information is processed, we will jump back to the start of the loop and go on to the next company. I will rerun this. Now, let's see how this works. Going to execution. It will take a few seconds. And all right, this part does make me nervous, but we have succeeded. And let's see how much of the information has been filled up. There we go. So we did receive Zahi marketing, and we added employees 10, recurring revenue 0, which because it is null, it is not available, the information is not present. And if you have noticed, we have ran it 25 times. Let's check other one, the digital babu, and we have employees information but not revenue information. Let's check something else. Let's check this. We have digital Sajita. Okay, we do not have any information here. Let me check again. Stripe. Okay, so Stripe is a pretty giant company, and we have over 10k employees and over 1 billion in revenue. So let's see how our body turned out to be. Okay, there we go. Sorry. So it is over $1 billion, and employees are more than 10,000, right? So it worked perfectly well. Now, this is how company enrichment can be. Let's check our CRM and see if the data is present there. I'll just refresh this. So I guess the data had already appeared before we refreshed. But all right, there we go. Zahi marketing, 10 employees. We have Conto with 5,000. We have Airbnb with 10,000, and maybe more. We have Stripe with 10,000 employees, right? So there it is. Our workflow or our CRM has been updated. Now we can check how many employees this company has and whether it can offer us solutions. It is capable of offering us solutions, or if we can provide them some value, some service, looking at their employee count and also the revenue, which will tell us how spread out or its operation is. This will give us a much better idea and save our time in calling each and every company. We will just be calling the right company which we think will be capable of handling orders, right? So there it is. If you found this video helpful, do give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and if you're liking the series of sales and sales improvement or sales automation or company process automation, do let us know your feedback in the comments, and let's make the comment section more active, and also share it with your friends who might advantage or benefit from this, who might be running a company. It will definitely help them, or if they are doing freelancing or something, this will help them serve their clients. So, and see you next video.